Most people here would consider themselves literate. Most people watching today will consider themselves literate. No, I'm not talking about reading comprehension. I'm talking about financial literacy. And the truth is, you may be, but many other Americans do struggle with this type of literacy. Struggle might actually be too soft of a word. Let's take a look at a number together today. $1.030 trillion. You might be thinking, wow, that's a large number. Derek, it's a little bit conceited, showing us your net worth, but you're talking about financial literacy, so I must be doing well. No, I'm a millennial. I have student loan payments starting next month, like some of you all here in the room today. Let's think together here. Maybe this is our national debt. No, it is not. This is the all-time record credit card debt in this country. You might be thinking like I was, there's more people alive today than there has been in the past. So it makes sense that the number is higher today, right? Unfortunately, on a per-person basis, the record is also true. The average cardholder has $6,500 in unpaid balances, another all-time record high. And unfortunately, even more disturbing, the average cardholder, 40% of cardholders actually, don't even know the assigned interest rate on their all-time high credit card balance. The same record is true for student loan debt and auto loan debt, both at all-time highs. Individuals are struggling, and as a nation, we have a real crisis on our hands. With these numbers alone, how could we consider our nation generally financially literate? I tend to think that we're not. My talk today is to shine light on this understated literacy crisis and provide tools and insight for individuals and institutions to effect change. Now, this literacy gap can cause some stress and anxiety. My ask today is that we all focus on our own personal beliefs and processes and grab onto hope for a better financial future, not only for yourself, but the next generation. So what does it actually mean to be financially literate? Let's start there. Financial literacy is the combination of the right knowledge and right behaviors that ultimately lead to right decision making. Concisely, it's knowing that your money's going in the right places for you and acting on it. There are 3 areas to consider today: right knowledge, right behavior, and right decisions. We seem to know that we have a long way to go in the knowledge department. A recent study in 2022 by the National Financial Educators Council found that over 3,000 participants were surveyed, and they found that the average participant lost $1,800 due to financial literacy mistakes in 2022. If we generalize that number out to 254 million adults, the cost would be $436 billion. $436 billion. That's a lot of money. The number one mistake, you may ask? You guessed it. Credit card interest and fees. We'll get back to that pesky credit card debt here in a minute. Individuals are clearly struggling, and we have a knowledge gap. We need to equip youth and, frankly, adults in this country. How do we equip youth? Well, right now in the United States, we spend the top 5 globally on secondary education, and yet we still do not have a federal mandate on financial literacy in this country. I'm a simple guy, but kids that can be taught the Pythagorean theorem can also be taught how to save and invest money for a home and a car. We are teaching kids to produce, make money, but then leaving them at the goalpost without a clue in the world how to use it. It's like teaching a doctor all the different diseases and drugs, how to diagnose patients effectively, but then not how to treat them at all. What I'm advocating for is timely education programs upon the graduation of high school or college, and maybe even elementary school. Right now in the US, only 23 out of 50 states have required financial literacy courses for secondary school. If you scored a 23 out of 50 on a test, you'd be getting a talking to by a parent. I've had my fair share of those. We need to give these states a talking to. Right knowledge is important, but also right behaviors is as well. Let's take a trip down memory lane for a second. Remember when you and I were a kid? Remember when you started to get a mind of your own, a behavior even like me? Remember when you had the right knowledge to do something, but still put your hand in that proverbial cookie jar anyway? This is where right knowledge becomes right behaviors and eventually, hopefully, right habits. Studies have found that kids tend to learn from their parents their money habits between the ages of 0 and 7 years old, at a really young age. What's important is that we teach kids delayed gratification, saving for later versus spending now. It's important. It's as invaluable as reading. For the adults in the room, we need accountability. One thing I've found in my own world is that people tend not to share what is happening financially in their life or seek advice from friends and loved ones. We've all been around the Thanksgiving table, and we're going to be there here soon, with family members you love and people you love because they're family. You get what I'm saying. One thing I've noticed around my own Thanksgiving table is my uncle will share embarrassing escapades I do not care to know about. But as soon as money comes up, people tend to get anxiously introverted. My recommendation would be to seek out a financial accountability partner. It could be a friend, or you seek professional help. An emotionally unattached accountability source will lead to better outcomes in putting that right knowledge into those right behaviors and eventually right habits. Sometimes we have the right knowledge and the right behaviors, but we still make wrong decisions. How does that happen? Well, one thing we all struggle with is that we're wired for the now. Since the days of being hunter-gatherers, I don't see a lot of cavemen or women here in the room today, but back in the day, way back in the day, why would you save food for tomorrow when you could be eaten by a saber-tooth that day? The same principle applies today, and in my own world, example is that on a Wednesday morning when my 2-year-old has kept us up all night, that blessed smell of coffee from Starbucks might just be too tempting for me. I may have the right knowledge about retirement, for example. I might know I need to save money for 35 years from now, but that need for caffeine might be just too much. This is where right behaviors turn into decisions. And as a country, we can do a better job in helping individuals make those right decisions by providing clear choices. This is where choice architecture comes into play. Choice architecture, as inspired and influenced by the book Nudge by Richard Thaler and Cassar Sunstein, outlines how choice architecture can provide a decision-making framework for individuals to make clearer choices. One thing that is a big takeaway from choice architecture is default options. Default options refers to when an individual is automatically enrolled in a preset choice unless they choose to opt out of that choice. In the example of retirement savings, it's when an individual is automatically enrolled into an employer-sponsored retirement plan unless they choose to opt out of it. In this example, this helps an individual save money for retirement because people tend to stick with the default option versus changing it. In my world, that would help me on that Wednesday morning when I need caffeine, because if I'm already automatically enrolled in an employer-sponsored retirement plan, I don't have to have that mental gymnastics at 6 a.m. Let's get back to that pesky credit card debt now. Nothing's being done about it as far as I can see. One thing that could help with choice architecture is simplifying complex information. When you apply for a credit card, one thing that is difficult is really understanding the true cost as an applicant. You see an interest rate really one time, it's hard to really know what is the actual cost of this card and taking on some debt with this credit. What if an applicant, instead of seeing just an interest rate one time, actually saw the cost per year at different balance levels? This would allow an individual to make a much clearer choice and hopefully a right decision for them and their families. In this example, 24% interest and a balance level of $16,000, with simplifying complex information, the individual would see the interest rate, but also an actual number. People would be more informed because individuals tend to understand raw numbers better than percentages. In this example of simplifying complex information, an applicant might never even get that credit card to add to their debt in the future. Pulling us all together here, financial literacy is the combination of right knowledge and right decisions, right behaviors and right decisions, supported by institutions' choice architecture. I hope that you all now see the literacy crisis that we're in this country. Here are 3 ways you can help yourself and our nation off this dead-end road. First, petition local institutions to provide financial literacy courses. 2, attend a financial literacy course yourself and teach your children. 3, find a financial accountability partner. We have a long road to go together to learn the right knowledge, to promote the right behaviors, and to foster the right decisions. And we really cannot do it alone. Thank you.